All right, welcome to the I Stand Correct podcast. Welcome, everyone. I wanted to say thank you and congratulations to everyone who participated in all the hard work that you got done this weekend protesting no kings. You have forestalled America from having a king yet another day. We did not have kings last week, but thanks to your tireless efforts of standing around outside, holding up signs, dressed up as a dog, and getting as much attention that your parents would never get you, all the attention that you could ever need. I thank you for keeping us from having a king another week. This is what I learned this week from the memes. As you know, I took a break, a mental health break from watching the perpetually negative news, the news which doesn't bother to tell me anything real anyway. Here's what the memes are telling me is going on this week. If Democrats can coordinate to protest a no kings on every city on the very same day in the United States, then why is it that they can't all get out to vote on election day instead of demanding to mail in ballots for weeks? It's a very good question. How is it that we can develop a group chat to get all your crazy friends and neighbors to show up to go outside in the cold and the wind, to stand around acting like an asshole? How can you get all that done in a day? But then federal election day, the thing that we all know is coming, for whatever reason, we cannot get that all done. We have to be able to have extra time. I don't know, I guess to stuff ballot boxes, to stuff that full of extra ballots and completely rip off yet another election. What's funny is that they thought that Trump stole the election in 2016, that he used Russian collusion and foreign interference to sway that election, that he stole it. They did nothing about it. They did not insist upon voter ID because, of course, that would mean shooting themselves in the foot. And then 2020, despite the fact that, at 3:00 in the morning when election day was already technically over, Biden had a sudden surge of ballots. And even though years later, we're now finding out that the election results from Georgia and elsewhere were completely fraudulent. Uh, we can't roll it back for some reason. I mean, I guess we knew that the election of Rutherford Hayes was fraudulent too, and we didn't roll that back either. So there was supposed to be a President Tilden that you knew nothing about. Imagine throwing a no kings protest after your party refused to hold a primary. They just said it was Kamala. That's not how that's supposed to go. They coordinated her without a single vote. They sued to keep RFK Jr. off the ballot. They gate kept him out of the Democrat primaries. They didn't even let him make a run for leading the DNC. And I think he would have been a tremendous DNC candidate. And attempted to remove Trump from the state ballots, such as in Colorado, only after your illegal lawfare scheme failed. If there was a modern day monarchy in America, it would only point to one party. But I bet you that if you go out there and let them know, like, hey, you guys haven't had a real primary, in like 12 years. Let's go all the way back to Bernie Sanders, who we're going to talk about in just a minute. You guys remember when it was him and Hillary Clinton, right? And Hillary was kind of going after the neocons and the boomers and the people that loved the 90s and the Clinton administration. She was going after them. And Bernie was kind of going after those college indoctrinated socialists, the ones who think that the government owning all the means of production is a way to save losers from the failures of that are their lives. Unfortunately, the chair of the DNC, one Debbie Wasserman Schultz, sent an email that was full of racial epithets against Bernie Sanders, indicating that it was Hillary's time. They were going to torpedo Bernie. It didn't matter how much the young voters, the left-leaning voters in America loved Bernie Sanders. There was no chance he was going to become president. So even their own primary process was completely corrupt. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, by the way, just to let you know, she faced no consequences for that. She actually was the one who ended up moderating the Hillary Clinton-Donald Trump debate. So she was completely corrupt, and she was never removed from her moderator status. I know that it's kind of a big thing to ask for anymore, but wouldn't you like a politically objective person to moderate a debate? Well, you don't get one in this country. Just remember, the same people at the No Kings rallies cheered this on, by the way. Never forget, they were the ones locking up basketball hoops to make sure that your children don't go out and exercise for their health. For your health, make sure you stay inside. It was much more about control. It was much more about being right. It was much more about punishing people who flouted the rules. That's what that time was about. And that irony comes full circle with No King's Day, as we will demonstrate here. Do you remember when you were arrested for not obeying your TV set? The TV said 6 feet. It said that you cannot go to a restaurant, but you can get takeout from a restaurant because COVID cannot live on your food. COVID cannot travel 6 feet and 1 inch, but it can travel 6 inches. But you can go to a restaurant as long as you have a mask when you stand up, but you can take it off when you sit down, and it will be fine. The COVID was crazy, and everyone believed in it. And when you tried to stand up to the absolute tyranny that was COVID regulations, when you tried to point out that everything that was happening was wrong, they didn't listen to you. In my own experiences, medical information is protected by HIPAA. Like when you become someone in my profession, they really drill that into you about how you're not supposed to just throw around even potentially useful medical information. There's a case back in the 80s where I don't know if it was EMTs, paramedics, or doctors, but they casually shared information about a patient being HIV positive. This was obviously for the safety and well-being of everyone who was responding to the medical care for this patient. They sued everybody for outing him as an HIV patient because at that time there was this huge stigma associated with HIV and AIDS. Usually indicated that person led a homosexual lifestyle, and at that time that was very frowned upon. That could defame you, that could ruin your chances of getting a career, could change everything about your image. That's why guys like Freddie Mercury, even a flaming guy like that, I don't think he was ever officially out, even if it was as obvious as possible because of the stigma at that time. But they were passing around this information to keep people safe. Don't tell anyone if someone has HIV or AIDS. Just use universal precautions. Just assume everyone has AIDS. Just treat everyone like you have AIDS. You'll do the best you can do to protect yourself. You don't have to worry about patient information, and you're going to protect yourself from a lawsuit. Enter COVID, enter healthcare in the COVID era. And now, even though this is a mild respiratory disease, not at all like HIV or AIDS in terms of its deadliness. Now, if you have COVID, you're going on a list with your state's Department of Health, and everyone's going to know that you tested positive. And if you tested positive, you have to disclose it to your job. You have to call your HR manager or your boss and let them know that you have COVID so that everyone else in the office has to get tested. We didn't even respond this way to HIV AIDS. And to be honest, had we gone this overboard responding to HIV and AIDS to the point where we're just going to interfere and disregard everyone's privacy and civil liberties, we actually could have done more to prevent the spread of the AIDS pandemic. But we did not do that at that time. Right? We did that for the flu, just as a reminder of how crazy this country is. No kings, they yelled, listening to Bernie Sanders, who has been in Congress longer than the reign of Henry VIII. I don't know how anyone listens to Bernie Sanders and gives him an ounce of credulity. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is the guy lecturing you on your spending habits in terms of driving your car around and fossil fuel consumption and making sure that you recycle. And he's also out there lecturing all the millionaires with multiple houses and also lecturing people on whether or not people should be allowed to come into this country when he has like 3 mansions that you could not walk up to the door and knock on to talk to Bernie Sanders. There's gates, there's armed guards around it. He does not want you to have guns either. Everything about this man's life screams hypocrisy to the people who should love him the most, and yet they take no heed of that. I don't give a shit if Bernie Sanders has 3 houses. I guess it kind of bothers me that he's a multimillionaire because he probably exploited his position in Congress in order to invest the right way, which is called insider trading, which is illegal for most people. But the people who really, really believe the Bernie Sanders stuff, the people who really drink from his Kool-Aid, they should be the most upset about him, and yet they are not. And I don't know why, because so I'm a conservative. I don't like Democrats, right? But I have to respect them because at least they have an agenda and they actually accomplish it. As devastating as it is, as I think it is for America, they actually go out and do it. Republicans are terrible. They always say, well, we're going to give up this time, but we'll fight tooth and nail for the next issue. And they claim to be conservative, but guys like John McCain or Mitt Romney or John Thune, they stay in office forever, which is not a conservative ideal. If you're a true conservative, you can't have power that long, and yet they'll be lifelong politicians. They'll do the insider trading. They money launder to Israel. They do all of those things. And when they do that, I hate them for it, and I call them out for it. I don't like John Thune. I don't like some of the things Donald Trump does. Why can't Democrat voters have a little bit of critical thought, a little diversity in their thinking, and realize, hey, maybe not all Democrats are equal, and maybe we ought to call out some of these people. But it's a vote blue, no matter who mentality over there, and you have to admire the solidarity and how well consolidated all their ideas are. But that's what a cult is. That's what a religion is. And if you deviate from the gospel according to the state, or the gospel according to Bernie Sanders, or the gospel according to Barack Obama, you get excommunicated from the faith. So I guess I understand when you have that kind of strict punishment involved in your cultish religion of state supremacy. I guess I can understand why everyone falls in line. Hey, it worked for Stalin, didn't it? The same liberals crying about no kings were the same ones who forced you to wear face diapers while begging the government to take your jobs and children away, begging for the government to take your children and jobs away if you didn't take the experimental gene therapy for a pandemic that wasn't even real. That's right. All these people who don't want the government telling them what to do, they're not going to bow down to anyone. No tyrannical authority, which what has that been under Trump? I'm not real sure. I mean, I guess there's been some legislation that prevents sex changes on minors, which makes sense because a child can't even get a tattoo. So why would we allow them to rearrange their sex organs? Just seems like it makes sense to me. But under Obama, we had Obamacare, which meant you had to buy government insurance if you were uninsured, or you had to pay a tax on it. You know, it's entirely possible that there's someone out there who has a lot of money. Let's say he's worked hard, he's invested well. Let's say even inherited from his parents, but he has money and he came by it all honestly. And he just doesn't need to buy insurance because if he goes down to the clinic, if he needs anything done, he can pay out of pocket for it and it's fine. He doesn't have to be insured. That's called self-insurance. Wealthy people do that all the time. If they don't feel like investing a monthly payment to a company which can deny them a claim, screw them over, why not just save the money, invest it, put it somewhere else, leave it as a rainy day fund for when you crash your car, when you get that bad diagnosis, you've got the money there to take care of yourself. There are some people out there that self-insure. I get that it's not a common thing, but those people were punished. They were forced to get insurance, give their money over to the government, or else they would have to give their money over to the government in the form of a fine. And under Biden, of course, we had if you don't get this vaccine, you're going to get kicked out of the military. You're going to lose your job. Even I myself, I worked for an NGO, or an agency that received a lot of government stipends and grants. And because we were receiving funding from the federal government, we very much had to dance to their tune. So we saw the tyranny under Obama of get this insurance or pay a fine. And under Biden, we said, get this, take this risk on your health by injecting this unknown substance into your body or lose your job. But Trump's the one with tyranny. I'm just trying to keep score here. I just want to know what exactly it is that Trump is telling you that you have to do that you don't want to do. What is it that actually qualifies him for tyranny? Just put it in the chats if you're here. Again, you know, if they could coordinate all of this in one place on one day, why do we have to have election day span more than one day? Just as a reminder, your commie neighbors back in 2020 and 2021, they were all calling the police on you, wearing masks inside their homes, saying, my neighbors are having a party. They have more than 10 people over for 4th of July. I can't believe do you remember when Biden was saying if you have a large gathering of people at your house for Independence Day, that we were going to you were going to be in trouble for that? And then later on, he talked about the winter of death and sadness and depression for all of the unvaccinated. But the very idea that you were not free to have people over to your house to celebrate Independence Day, the irony was not lost on me, but the entire Democrat Party or anyone who remotely leans to the left, they did not get that at all. This today is about telling the government to go fuck themselves, even with fireworks ordinances. You set them off anyway because fuck, what are you going to do about it, right? Like, you're free. It's the day when you're free to do whatever you want to do because your forebears, the white people who came to this country and turned it into the best goddamn country, the envy of all other countries in just 200 years. We kicked the greatest Navy on earth out of here. Tell them to get lost. We sent them packing. But make sure that you do not have more than 6 people at your gathering for Independence Day. Did not feel very independent to me, of course. I do not have 6 friends, so it did not affect me. But can you believe that there were people out there who are bowing the knee to that on Independence Day to make sure not to have too many people over because the government says so? That is something that happened. And when you confront them on this, it's amazing how the party of love, peace, and tolerance becomes hateful and nasty, and they start screaming and yelling at you and calling you racist. Again, it comes down to a simple thing. I've said it on the show before many times. If someone cannot defeat you in the arena of ideas, if they cannot beat the points you're making, they will not continue to assail your points that you're making. They will attack your character. They can't come up with anything better about why the economy works the way it does, about why socialism doesn't work, why gun control makes no sense at all. But what it comes down to is you're a bad person for disagreeing from their cultish religion of statist supremacy, of their God, which is the United States government or local governments. And you're an apostate to the faith, and you're someone who that they would stone if they could get away with it. And that will explain something else about them that we'll talk about in a minute. But I saw something strange here on the internet that I wanted to talk about. But where was I at? I was on this. I saw this. This came up in, this is an actual ad. This came up in my Instagram feed. Defenders wanted. Public ed defenders. Now, I can't help but notice I don't see a white guy here. That's fine. I know there are other people, but we've got the very liberalish looking woman on the left and the black guy in the suit, because we can't have him looking like a thug, so he's clearly a lawyer or a doctor. And then your typical mom in the middle. These are the people who are being asked to protect schools, I guess, public education defenders. And so I was like, what is this? Is this an ad soliciting paid protesters? What are public ed defenders? What is that? It seems like something that doesn't exist. Seems like something that's fake and made up. So I thought, like, this is an ad for paid protesters is what it is. They want people to show up at school, claim that they're defending public education, but what are they up to? So I actually asked them. I said, to be community, what are you guys up to? And Reclaim Our School says to be community organizers and leaders. We provide personalized coaching, training sessions, and tools and digital support to help build the movement to defend public schools. My first question is, where is this money coming from? You're an entity and you are providing coaching, training sessions. You are giving tools, digital support to help build a movement. Well, that doesn't sound like a grassroots movement. Grassroots movement grows on their own. Here we have agriculture for grassroots movement, where some sort of insidious entity is trying to recruit people to go out to be quote unquote public education defenders and saying that they're giving them tools and training. But I'm wondering if this tools and training is really all about how police use of force works and how close you could scream in a police officer's face before he is allowed to pepper spray you. So I asked them. They said that they're trying to support people in a move to defend public schools. Well, I could not let it go. Just so you know, I have not heard back from them. But I said, against what? Parents knowing what's best for their children and holding their government accountable? That seems like something that Americans would want to do, is hold their government accountable. Doesn't that seem like what No King's Day is all about? Standing up to the government, holding it accountable. Public schools are indefensible. We spend more than any other country, and all of our children are stupid. Homeschooling is on the rise as a direct result of teacher performance. And I didn't even get too political about it to say, well, the teachers are indoctrinating the kids. The teachers are talking to the children about their sex lives. We're just not doing reading, writing, and arithmetic. I said, start wearing body cams, and my side will start to think about coming to this table. I received nothing in response to that. I'm sure that no one else has seen it or commented on it at all either. Again, this is an ad. I have a feeling that the way the ads generate on Instagram is that everyone kind of gets their own instance. It's like a new spawning. So nobody will see that I wrote that. But it was interesting that they bothered to reply to me at all. And it's nice to know that you can expect riots at schools at some point in the future, because they are recruiting paid protesters for riots even now. let's take a look at everybody who's in the chat, because we do have 41 comments. Well, I've been ignoring everyone. I'll try to remember what it is I was talking about. As a general rule, if you watch this video, if you liked it, make sure you leave a comment below with your name, or I guess that would be in there if you comment, but I'd like to know if you watched it. After these videos are over, I usually see that I'll get like 70 views, which is, only half of my subscribership. But if you watched this video and you watched it after it was live, I'd like to know. Leave me a little note down there. Felony was here. She's got her cigarettes. Jenny says, commenting on what time it is. People are talking back and forth to each other. Really no one to me. Jenny says, my favorite thing I saw was a blurb about people in London gathering to support the United States No Kings protest. So yes, that's the definition of irony. First of all, people in England who are completely repressed by tyrannical control over their lives, they don't even have freedom of speech anymore, really. You can't post a meme in Europe without getting arrested. You can't be critical of the foreign invasion from the Horn of Africa or the people who come up and the way that they conduct themselves, especially in terms of a heinous assaults that they are perpetrating on the women and children of Europe. You're not allowed to openly talk about that. Or the failures of the criminal justice system in Europe. There was a video I saw this morning in the Netherlands. A judge sentenced a man who killed 3 people. He sentenced him to just 120 community hours. That was his sentence. Killed 3 people, I guess, in a traffic accident. You can guess his nation of origin, and he was sentenced to 120 hours of community service. And the father of one of these slain victims, a child, throws a chair at the judge. That's the situation in Europe. Okay, just as a quick reminder, Europe is cooked. Europe is toast. They do not have freedom there. One thing they do have is a king. They literally have a king there. He's just a figurehead, but it is hilarious, Jenny. You're right that they would join the United States in celebrating not having a king when the king that we kicked out of here is literally your king. We'll talk about how this happened in just a minute. Lauren, good to see you as always. With Hillary and Bernie, they had to flip a coin for some shit 12 times, and she miraculously won 12 times in a row. She must be very lucky. Michael Hendricks, if that was true, if they decided it with a coin flip, the person who was doing the coin flipping would have unalived themselves under very strange circumstances mid-flip. There's no such thing as a coin flip that Hillary Clinton will leave to chance. She's always got a little control of that situation. Remember how dangerous planes were with the recycled air, but you could pull your mask down to eat. Yes, I remember that. I remember, and the thing is they were getting pushback on airplanes. So like, we're literally in a contained capsule of all of our air and all of our germs. If one person on this flight has it, we're all going to get it, but we all accept that risk and we're all going to fly. I remember I was flying at this time and the captain would come over the intercom. He's like, just so you know, if you do not follow all instructions from our flight crew, they are endowed by certain federal legislation. They are empowered by federal law. And if you do not follow their instructions, you will be in violation of federal law. And if you do not follow their instructions upon landing, you will be investigated. And if convicted of air crime, you can be placed on a do not fly list. They were basically saying, if you don't do what our stewardesses say in terms of putting your mask on and keeping it on, if you even want to argue the point, you're going to wind up on a do not fly list. The fact that they went so hard in the paint on that right away to say, like, you don't even get to debate this with them. You know that people were debating with them because it was absolutely absurd. You get a flight of 120 people. God, I hope you get at least one critical thinker on that flight. One truly conservative-minded person, or just an apolitical person who realizes that being able to take off your mask to eat your peanuts, they had to threaten everyone upon takeoff. That was the times we live in. Sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to let you know about that. COVID was terrible. All those poor doctors and nurses working so much overtime to learn those TikTok group dances. You know what's interesting about me is that I went for my annual physical that year, And the doctor always asks me about shots, flu shots, whatever. I'm never inclined to take them because I'm a strapping young man. I'm healthy. I'm in the prime of my life. I don't spend a lot of time with other people. I'm mostly at home or I'm at work with just a small group of other people, some of which have kids. So, and there's a chance that I'll get sick. I'm really good about cleaning down my workspace. I don't have anyone talking to me. Um, I wash my hands when I come out of the bathroom, unlike some of my coworkers. But anyway, I'm pretty clean. So I feel pretty good about my odds. So I'm just not going to, especially since my sister got a vaccine injury. She now has an autoimmune disorder from being injected with a bad supply of vaccine. I'm just not going to take the risk, right? Like you have Hashimoto's disease for the rest of your life versus having a bad flu that you might have to go to the doctor for. I'm not going to do that. And so then he asks me if I've gotten one of the many COVID-19 vaccines. And I say, no, I haven't. And I don't tip my hand about anything. All I say is that I haven't done it. I don't say I don't believe in vaccines. I don't believe in this vaccine. I don't say I don't like Donald Trump, so I'm not taking Donald Trump's vaccine. Again, everyone forgot that it was the Trump vaccine when it came out, and because the vaccine still came out during Trump's term. Again, the No Kings people were out there saying, we're not taking Trump's vaccine. They would later threaten you and say that you should be allowed to die, that you shouldn't be allowed to access the hospital if you haven't taken this vaccine, and that if we had to sacrifice all the people who chose not to take vaccines in order to get back to a normal life, that's what we needed to do. We needed to get back to normalcy by allowing millions of people to die. That was going to be fine. I didn't say any of those things. I just said I didn't take it. And my doctor, who I think is a good doctor, I like him okay. But he said, you can take the vaccine and still be a good American. Who brought politics into it, Doc? I didn't say anything about it. I really didn't want to get into it with you, But he kind of brought that up kind of unsolicited and he lifted the veil because it just showed you that he really wanted me to get it. He doesn't care about my health. He doesn't fucking care. What does it matter if I live or die? He doesn't get on my case about not losing weight, but he wanted me to take this vaccine. Why? Well, because there had to be some sort of kickback in place. The vaccine isn't free. You have to remember that Pfizer exists. They've received a whole bunch of money from us taxpayers to make this thing go out. And that when doctors get patients on prescription medications and vaccinations, of course they receive money for that. Are you naive? So anyway, I chose not to do it. My doctor appealed to the preserving my sense of patriotism. Do I present an obviously conservative face? I asked this because the other day I was in kind of a Whole Foods grocery store, and the kind of place where everything's like flaxseed and everything's organic, and it's one of these places where a lot of vegans shop. It's fine, whatever. But I'm there. Everybody's low key treating me like shit. I'm getting dirty looks. People don't want to move out of the way. The employees are not friendly to me. Is it because they could just tell that I was just like obviously politically conservative? Is it something I'm putting out there? I mean, I know my red man hat probably has me pegged as like a good old Southern boy Republican, but I wasn't wearing this hat at that time. I'm just curious, what is it that I'm putting out there with the beard, the fit build, that I don't look like a soy boy? Is that what it is? That I'm somewhat masculine? Is that how they can tell that I've never voted liberal in my entire life? I got tested once because I needed that for a vaccine card to get into BattleBots in Las Vegas. My son and I were going with friends and had to get a negative result. I remember Foo Fighters. I remember David Grohl saying that you couldn't come to a concert unless you had a vaccine passport. It's funny how they were asking us for our papers to make sure we were legal to go to a concert, but the idea that you could ask for someone's identification to go vote is out of bounds. We need to make sure that you've gotten a shot before you could listen to Foo Fighters play live at the Hampton Coliseum. We got to make sure that you have received this controversial medical treatment But for you to influence the course, the state of affairs, the destiny of our country, you do not need to even tell us who you are. It's fine. When is the self-awareness going to begin for that side of the argument? I mean, I know that there are some liberal people out there who just have really big hearts and their emotions kind of outweigh their logic. And that's kind of what moves them away from being truly wise people. They have all the best intentions. But it seems like my side, at least I'll just speak for me, I'm very, very good at calling out the stupidity and the hypocrisy of the Republican Party. See it all over the place. I hate it. I don't understand why we can't get legislation passed. I don't get why we elect Republicans and then they hold office instead of transforming America like they claim they would. I don't get why they do the things that they do. They make me insane. They have for a long time. Since Mitt Romney throwing the second debate against Barack Obama, I turned in my Republican card. When are they going to ever realize the amount of stupidity and hypocrisy that's going on their side of the ideological argument? When will that happen? People telling me what time it is. That's very good. Telling me what time it was in the past, I could have guessed that. Also, I don't know if you're aware of this. It must not show this for you, but on StreamYard, the platform that I'm using, it tells me the time that you make a comment. For example, I'll just randomly pick one. But Chase said hello to Jenny at 1:14 p.m. Central Time. I know what time that came in. I'm aware of that. So when you send me a message telling me what time it is, or if you're just commenting on the fact that it's 11:11, and that's bizarre, even though it happens twice a day, every day, I don't get it. Don't start me on the vaccine, John. Yeah, if you get Shorty going, literally government agents from His Majesty's thought police down there in Australia will show up at her door. John's got a bee in his bonnet today, loving the energy. I did wake up first thing and go to the gym. A lot of times you guys see me right away. I'm just crawling out of bed. I don't have a lot going on for myself. I did have a full morning of squats and stuff. Well, not squats, but deadlifts anyway. I need a way to contact you. Well, you guys can contact each other. Thony says, I took a high-speed train from Kaiserslautern to Paris. And whilst in Germany, we didn't have to wear a mask. But as soon as we crossed into France, we did. Same train the whole time. I mean, that at least I understand, right? Because they're two different countries. They have two different laws. It's stupid, but as you enter another country, you have to obey their laws. In the same way, the bullet train, which brings Mexicans into the United States when they cross over illegally, they're supposed to start obeying our laws. I would appreciate it if they would obey our laws in this country. So you make an excellent point there that it's absurd. However, observing the laws and obeying the laws in France, as stupid as they are, is probably a good idea. An exception must be granted for certain instances. I believe it was, I'm just going to say Jefferson because I like him. But when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. I said duty. However, if you are having your rights restricted, if you are living in Australia and you are not truly free, if you are living in Paris and you are not truly free, if you are living in California and you're not truly free, it is your responsibility to rebel. And when you are arrested and convicted, ultimately, hopefully you can make some sort of appeal that will go to the Supreme Court case, and precedent will be set which will vindicate you. And even though you have thrown away 10 years of your life on the offhand chance that nine people who wear robes will decide your fate and the fate of the country, you're throwing a real set of die there, hoping that they will gamble. The gamble will land in your favor. That is how we do it in this country. So fight back. Be the reason why we can be free again. Put yourself at risk. Jenny's going to go to a meeting. The mask thing was bullshit. And then she's talking to Mel. And then she's talking to Lauren. And finally, Tanner talks to me. Testosterone above the level of a banana means you're a toxic male. Is that what it is? I've got toxic male energy. Do I seem very toxic? I guess my hat kind of implies that I'm toxic because I'm standing up for the good people at Big Tobacco and who bothered to evoke the image of the honor and tradition of the ancient indigenous people of this land that gave us the gift of tobacco in the first place. We made the mistake of honoring Native Americans who showed us how to cultivate and properly use tobacco for our enjoyment. We named it after them. Obviously, we should have named it Sir Walter Raleigh tobacco after the white man who brought it back to England. He's the guy who should have gotten the credit, not the Native Americans. It's fine. Don't worry, Red Man's is a brand that has gone out of existence. We can't have anything so horrifying. You guys are all talking to each other. Gone back to our roots of being convicts here. It is weird to come from an entire country where everyone there, if you're a white person, you're descended from some kind of heinous felon. Crazy there. But about finishing up the story of No Kings and finishing up the story of COVID restrictions and finishing up the story of why we tolerate baffling hypocrisy from people like John Thune and Bernie Sanders. How did we get into this mess? Well, we had too many football coaches teaching social studies. The government, of course, did not care to teach you to question the government because that would be to undermine their own interests. And we had too many football coaches who were more interested in football than giving a rat's ass as to whether or not you know how the government works. It comes up every day. I take calls from people who have no idea how basic the law functions. It is amazing to me that people don't know the difference between criminal law and civil law, that they don't understand the severity of crimes. They don't know how court appearances work. They don't know how warrants work. And I'll be honest, I wasn't taught these things in high school either. I did learn a lot about them in the course of my college career and just vocationally. But I feel like when you graduate from high school, you should understand how your interaction with the criminal justice system is going to go, particularly when you went to a shitty high school like I went to. I think Intro to Criminal Justice is something they should have been teaching sophomore year. Here's what it means when you get pulled over for speeding and you've got a roach in your car. Here's what it means if you've got an open container. Here's what it means if you were accused of a sexual assault. And here's what it means if you wrongfully accuse someone of sexual assault. All of these things would have been great to teach, but instead I was fucking learning about feminist plays of the mid 20th century. Teach me how to live. Public education. Fuck. Guys, my high school had a smoking area for the kids. That's something you experienced as a kid back in the days, back in the 90s, turning into 2000s. What is something that you had as a child that would blow your own children's mind today? If you could think of something that you got to have when you were a kid, put it in the chats. I'll tell you what mine was. Mine was that you would wake up during the summer, but on the weekend, if the weather's fine, you would tell your mom or dad you're going outside to play. They would say, okay. I did not come back until the street lights were on. I left at probably 9, 10 in the morning, 11, because I've always maybe kind of been a late riser. I did not have a cell phone. I did not have a Life 360 app tracking me. I did not have friends with cell phones. I did not have a smartwatch. I was let loose into the world to explore, to play, to make friends, to lose friends, to ride a bike, to just go out and be a kid, to go to the playground if I wanted, to hang out in the common area near the townhouse I lived in, to sit on the bumper of the car out front, to drink out of the hose. And my parents had nothing to do with me the entire day, and it was fine. I didn't miss them. I wasn't scared. I was never in danger so far as I knew. I would occasionally have a dog bark at me or chase me or have a neighbor yell at me for something I wasn't supposed to be doing. But I also just obeyed whatever any adult told me to do. If they told me to go home and tell on myself, I literally did that for whatever it is I was doing. You know, if I was cutting through their yard or whatever they didn't want me to be doing. You had total autonomy as a kid. And I think having that level of independence and self-determination and freedom and joy did a lot for me as a child. We didn't have helicopter parenting. If that was, if I would love it if you would tell your child that when you were when you were their age, you had no one looking out for you, and now you turned out fine. How do you report someone who makes money under the table? How do you report them to the IRS? Shut the fuck up. That's how you're going to snitch on somebody who's pulling a fast one. For fuck's sakes, the rest of us are taxed to death, and all of our money goes to Israel. All of our money goes to green energy. All of our money gets recycled into the pockets of our politicians. But someone wants to make a little money and keep a little of the money that they're making, and you're going to tattle on them? You are a fucking communist, man. If someone ever, it's difficult because sometimes people call me up and it's like, strictly speaking, a matter of law enforcement and my own personal beliefs. I have to remember to be professional and that I'm speaking on behalf of the department. But if someone called me up and they wanted to report that somebody had unreported income, I know what they should do. They can go to irs.gov. I'm sure there's an anonymous tip line they can call. The thing is, as a county employee, income tax is not my jurisdiction. In a sense, it would be wrong to give out advice if I'm not an expert. I don't want to mislead a member of the public. That's sort of a disservice. So I would just say, I don't know. I work for the county. We are financed by property taxes here. At 911, we are also financed by the tax that you pay on your 911 tax when you pay your phone bill. That is all I know about revenue and license plates. I guess we get a cut of that, but I'm not going to talk to someone about federal income tax. I had to do this the other day though, where it was very obviously a 16-year-old girl asking me about the age of consent as it applied to a couple where the female herself is calling from this state and the male, who is the age of majority in another state, she wanted to know if that was legal. I wanted to just say, if you are the age that you say that you are, if you have sex now, you will regret it the rest of your life. Right? Like, that's the personal advice. There's nobody that's worth having sex with when you're a minor. Not only is it illegal, but like, that person is not your soulmate. That person is not going to be around in 2 years, to say nothing of the consequences that could come out of that, in terms of you getting knocked up, in terms of you getting a disease, in terms of you losing respect for yourself, not saving yourself for the person that you are supposed to be with. I know I have really old-fashioned ideals. Not that, I had premarital sex, okay? Like, I'm not trying to present myself as a saint, but I do like espouse that as a virtue. Like, you should not be doing this, right? Did any of you make good decisions as minors, and you think you should add sex to that mix? If you had sex as a minor, are you still really proud of it? Was that a worthwhile thing to you? But I said, consult a lawyer. Like, I'm not weighing in on this. I'm not gonna bless your relationship that is clearly not authorized by your parents, hence why you are calling the sheriff's department for advice on whether or not you can have sex with a 20-year-old man from Florida. I said, you need to contact an attorney. I'm not going to be the one answering this question. Even if she calls back later and talks to somebody else, that's fine. At least it wasn't me. But somebody needs to tell this poor girl to just take a cold shower and go get a job, go get an apartment, go to college, do something other than how you're spending your time currently. Let's get back to the memes, since we're about 43 minutes in and we have quite a few to go. Delta has officially suspended travel perks for members of Congress until they stop blocking TSA funding. And of course, TSA agents are getting paid again, which I guess is great. But hell yeah, take away their extra pretzels away. What are the perks that Congress is getting? I understand why, if you're Delta, you want to give perks to members of Congress, because you can count on, like, what is it, 535 people plus their staff that you're going to be flying to and from Washington, as far as away as Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, Arizona, California, Maine. You're flying them all over the place. You're doing a lot of flights for congressional delegates. Okay, I get that. So I get why you would want to corner the market, appeal to them, especially since they're flying all the time. So you're giving them some sort of perks to do that. But what are those perks? It just makes me mad that I have to suffer at an airport. And I think about my beloved congressmen, the people who are laundering my hard-earned tax money. I have to work like 100 days a year to support Israel or green energy or any other of these number of other interests that I have no interest in supporting. I'm forced to work 100 days a year just to pay off my personal income tax to support these things. And they get to fly in ways that are not inconvenient. It's like one more straw that breaks the camel's back. I saw an interesting post about TSA agents and how it's ridiculous in the first place because before 9/11, security at airports was private. That is to say, airport security was hired by the airport. They managed security and had all the processes and procedures in place as defined either by local laws or by the airport for the safety of their aircraft, their passengers, to reduce their liability. They had every reason in the world to do the best they can. The thing is that 9/11 was not caused by a failure of airport security. It really wasn't. It was caused by a failure of intelligence apparatuses. It was caused by possibly us loving the nation that did 9/11 to us by saying that they're our greatest allies. It's possible that, we at the federal level allowed it to happen. It's possible. There's lots of things that happened, but what didn't fail on that day was privatized security. And then we created the TSA, which Jenny has rightfully mentioned. It's something that is just designed to give us a false sense of security. I've said on the show, I said it last week, that I have accidentally flown with lighters, that I've accidentally flown with pocket knives, that I've accidentally flown with shampoos of various viscosities and amounts. They don't catch these things because they're tremendously demotivated people. They're the people who couldn't get jobs as mall security guards. They couldn't get jobs as correctional officers. I'm sorry. I don't mean to shit on the TSA's esprit de corps or the value of their people. They probably have good people working there that are capable of more. There's a movie about a TSA agent who literally fights Jason Bateman to the death to protect the woman he loves and his country. So I know that there's at least one TSA agent out there who's capable of successfully executing a diehard rescue of this country. I know that's true. The rest of them are all dumpy, fat pieces of shit who don't even wash their uniforms, okay? They're also grumpy to me. They're rude to me. Every time I think that I have the process at TSA down pat, they change it, and then they yell at me. They are not morning people either. But the problem is that by having a TSA that's part of the Department of Homeland Security is now they become the tools of the government. The Democrats want to send a message about ICE. Well, they're going to make the American people not be able to fly easily. I think it was a mistake to hold the American people hostage because it made Democrats look bad. And Trump was able to send in ICE to save the day. ICE agents are going to go in there and make sure you make your flight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, for bringing back sanity. But if we reprivatize airport security, if we make that so that every airport just has their own prestigious, great security, you can even have it be a law enforcement partnership where you employ off-duty police officers to be shift commanders or to do the training or whatever. You could actually surpass the standards of the TSA. You could make the country more safe, and there could be no congressional shutdown, no failure to pass a spending bill that would ever have these security agents at airports going unpaid. We could do it better by privatizing security again, by getting the federal government and Congress and political whims and political agendas out of it. We could keep ourselves safe. We could keep ourselves on time by privatizing security. Let me know if you agree with that. Just as a final reminder, the United States was founded by white people, 100%. Came from England. We came from Norway. We came from Wales. We came from Ireland. It was 80 to 90% white for 200 fucking years, all the way up to, 1976. That is who built America, whether you like it or not. And if you want to say that black people built America, I'm sorry, but we burnt this whole country to the ground in 1865 trying to free you. So you built Atlanta, but Sherman burned Atlanta to the ground, and then we rebuilt it. just as a reminder that whatever black people built was destroyed in the Civil War so that we can make you free. You're welcome. White people made you free. White people fought for you to be free. And white people ultimately granted you your freedom. Slavery was being practiced in Africa. We did not go to Africa, guys. We did not go to Africa and get off a ship with nets and start looking around for black people to bring with us. Do you think that we went over to Africa, got off a ship, and then rounded them up like cats or guinea pigs or something? No. They already had slavery in Africa. You go to Africa, you would go to the slave market where one black person was selling another. We participated in it, which was wrong, but they started it. They started selling each other off. We purchased from them, which was wrong, but white people poured out our blood. Americans poured out their own blood to put an end to slavery through the Civil War, the highest amount of American casualties ever. All casualties, 100% were American in that. We set you free. Yes, you still did not get treated right, but you also weren't sent back to Africa where you could be re-enslaved by the slavery practices that were probably still in progress at that time. We said you were a part of this country. You helped build this country, whether you wanted to or not, and now you can have a piece of the pie. You get as your reward the dividends of a free country. You can stay here and be free. You'd think that would be enough, but no, we still own reparations of some kind. But just as a reminder that it was white people who built America, whether you like it or not. White America is the envy of every other country on earth. That's why every other minority and ethnic group and marginalized person wants to come here legally or illegally. They want to the country built by white people. They love it here. And now we are trying to flood the border with third world trash who cannot fix their own countries. That is what's tearing America down now. People that are fleeing countries like Somalia, which are overcome with corruption, squalor, they're shithole countries, and they want to get out of their shithole. They poop their own bed. Your bed's nice and clean. They want to sleep in a nice, clean bed. Doesn't matter that they're going to poop your bed too. And if you don't believe me, if you think, well, that's just racist rhetoric, you have no proof of that. Just racism. There was this country that was called Rhodesia. Have you heard of Rhodesia? I think it's Rhodesia. Let me look it up, because if I'm going to make a real strong point, I want to be correct. There's this country called Rhodesia. It was a self-proclaimed state in Africa from 1965 to 1979. It was a breakaway colony from Britain. It was located in a country now called Zimbabwe. So we had white people running this unrecognized self-proclaimed state in Southern Africa from 1965 to 1979. It was a nice little place. It was run by white people. Now it is a fucking shithole because it is called Zimbabwe. And what kinds of people do we have in Zimbabwe? Well, I guess I won't speculate what kinds of people we have in Zimbabwe, but they have squalor, they have filth, they have disease, they have failure to maintain Western infrastructure, they have failure to embrace Western ideals there. And so you have this nice little country called Rhodesia, which has been destroyed, been collapsed, been overrun, been completely overcome by the modern day paradise that is Zimbabwe. That's what they want to have happen to this country. If you want to know what the plan is for America, just look at Rhodesia. It already happened one time. So it's not racist rhetoric. It's me looking at what already happened and then noticing patterns that are happening now. And that may make you uncomfortable, but the truth often makes you uncomfortable. Why would the truth necessarily make you feel good? Why would the truth conform to some ideal that you're comfortable with? There's no reason why truth has to be what you allow it to be. The truth is always going to make you uncomfortable. Why do you think that people avoid the truth at all costs? People lie all the time. It's because the truth comes with consequences. And that's why people are ignoring the truth today and putting blame on others, making people who speak the truth feel defensive by calling them racist. Again, the worst thing that you could possibly be in our society that requires the least amount of proof. They call me a racist, but they may as well call me a commie. They may as well call me a witch. It's the same game that this country's been playing since Salem back in 1629. Somebody says something that doesn't go along with Orthodox thought, whether that's the teachings of the Anglican Church or whatever. You get labeled. You get excoriated with a brand. You get called a witch. You get called a commie. You get blacklisted, and then you're out. And it doesn't matter if there's no possible proof for you to be a witch, for you to be a communist. Once someone says that you're a witch, you're a communist, you're a racist, you're done. And I don't fear being called a racist. I don't feel being called a commie, even though I don't even like the library. That's too communist for me. And you can call me a witch if you want. It doesn't matter to me. Just as a reminder, guys, anti-Semitism is when Jews behave badly and get mad at you for noticing. Boy, I'm going just hard in the paint today. Don't be anti-Semitic. Don't criticize what a Jewish person does. Don't criticize what the Israeli state does, or you'll really be in trouble. But just as a reminder that the leading cause of anti-Semitism in this country, it's possible that it's Jewish behavior. It's possible that people notice what Jewish people do and they don't care for it. Looking at you, Ben Shapiro, big voice on the right. Just so you know, I'm not some discount conservative fake YouTube influencer guy. I'm just a guy that's mad, and I have some memes. My radicalizing moment was taking my son to urgent care, and the illegal ahead asking what price he was supposed to pay. He's an illegal immigrant. He wants to know how much it costs. He was told that his health care was free. My copay, $125. How did I know that person was illegal? Well, I didn't assume it based on the color of their skin. They openly discussed it. He says, I'm an illegal immigrant. I have no insurance. Oh, it's free for you then, senor. My copay is $125 because there's no such thing as a free lunch. I mean, ecology will teach you that. Economics will teach you that. There's no such thing as a free lunch. It's a closed system of energy. If he doesn't pay for it, someone else is. That's why your copay is $125. DCNH says, you put ice in every hospital, watch your healthcare costs drop, because all of a sudden, the people that are overburdening the system, the people that are not paying for it at all, will disappear. And the bleeding hearts will come out and say, well, then you're going to have people who need medical care who are afraid to seek it. Well, maybe live in a country where you don't have to have a guilty conscience when you go out in public. Maybe you don't have to worry about being arrested for existing. Maybe if you're not breaking the law, like if you're just living in the country you're supposed to be living in, you don't have to live in fear. And if you don't like that country, if it's a shithole country, maybe you should do something about it. Maybe if you pooped in your own bed, maybe you should clean it up instead of pooping in mine. How feminists look at Muslim countries where they throw gay people off the roofs and women are not allowed to drive. That's right. Saudi Arabia, you must wear a burqa. You cannot go outside in the company of a man who is not your husband. You cannot be friends with a man if you're a woman who is not your husband. You may have to get married at age 9. You cannot be homosexual. You will be stoned. If you are caught in a homosexual act, I'm sure that your public execution will be even more humiliating and painful. And yet, for some reason, the women on the left who extol the virtues of women's rights and women's freedom and embracing diversity and tolerance and inclusion for all the letters of the alphabet, LGBTQIA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's make sure that we raise ourselves, raise our women, and raise our men too with Western values of tolerance and acceptance. But let us also, by the millions, import people from all over the world, from countries who would also stone you to death for simply not conforming to so-called Eastern values. Why do they love this? Again, it perplexes me, possibly because they're in denial about people from Africa and the Middle East being cruel to women. Anyway, this is the end of the political memes, and we'll move on to the absurd stuff as the show ends. A FEMA director says he was teleported 50 miles to a Waffle House. He described the bizarre experience of teleportation as real and not fun. What show was this on? You know, what's amazing is that FEMA can't get water to the Superdome for victims of Hurricane Katrina, but apparently they can teleport to a Waffle House. Adrian says the teleportation device most likely was a 30 rack of Miller Lite. Miller, very good beer, by the way. The best part of Schindler's List, if you've never seen it, it's an excellent movie. Oscar Schindler, a real person, played by Liam Neeson. Here he is, a much younger man. But the best part is when he says, "It's Schindlin time." It's Schindlin time. Me mumbling as my boss approaches my desk. I will kill myself in front of you if you ask me to do a single thing, I swear to God. My boss says, "Hey, can you email me that thing?" "Oh, for sure, playa. No doubt. I can do that for you." Is this what Thoreau meant by how most people live lives of quiet desperation and hatred? You're taking her on dates. I'm stealing her catalytic converter. We are the same, actually. We are a team. It is an elaborate ruse to steal women's catalytic converters. This is our third job this week. I actually don't hate this at all. Two people team up, two guys team up. The better one gets on Tinder, arranges a hookup. They go out to eat coffee, bagels, sex, whatever it is people do on dates anymore. I wouldn't know. But the other half of the male conspiracy, knowing that the woman is not at home, gets right under that vehicle and steals that catalytic converter for all its precious metals. Seems like a good way to go. I don't know why that doesn't happen more often. Is it because men don't? Is it because I'm guessing it's because the men don't trust each other, or that they would like want to alternate? I'm like, "Can I have sex this time?" They're like, "No, it's your turn to crawl under a car and steal a catalytic converter." I think I wanted to do the sex this time, because we're splitting it. I'm assuming all the risk. I'm the one that's actually stealing these things. You're getting laid. I don't know. You have to work that out beforehand. I think it becomes a Treasure of the Sierra Madre type situation very quickly. If you don't know that reference, too bad. I made it. At the dentist, you forgot to ask, but I am sexually active. Just so you know, I do have sex. The dentist just doesn't fucking care at all. He's the evil dentist, remember? Commenting AI slap on my ex's family Thanksgiving photos. I sometimes think about doing things like this because I saw an ex on Instagram at one point. I blocked her just because I don't want that. I don't want her to be in my consciousness. But I wanted to comment something terrible, but I've got Jesus in my heart, believe it or not, after all the racist tirades that you just heard. And, I'm not exactly the best representation of Christianity, of course. But I don't do these things, this is the time when my better nature succeeds. But I wanted to be like, it's just a miracle that your son's even white. we were all just surprised that your son was even white. I don't do those things because that would be wrong. No, you don't understand. Back in the day, McDonald's had breakfast all day. I went to McDonald's recently. I had breakfast there. It wasn't bad. The coffee was okay. They need to bring back breakfast all day. Pizza Hut had buffets. I've also been to a Pizza Hut recently. I've been on like kind of a 90s nostalgia tour. They had a salad bar, but not a buffet. We had Sierra Mist. I think that actually still exists. It's just rebranded as what is it called now? I'm not sure. We still have Sierra Mist. It's just called something else. And Walmart was open 24/7 and had aquariums. The thing is that in 2019, this is when this all came to an end. I used to get off of work and I would go to Walmart because it's the only time I could shop there without, being around the peasants who shop at Walmart. And it became kind of a routine. I would go once or twice a week if I needed something, and I would go to Walmart and I'd be able to shop in the middle of the night, and only the employees who were stocking, cleaning. They would do doing things in my way. It was nice. It was a nice shopping experience. And then 2020 came along. They said, "Oh, well, at night we're closing the store to clean it." I'm like, "You're not fucking cleaning the store. What are you doing? What are you laundering all the clothes you're selling? You're wiping down all the doorknobs and racks and wiping down all the boxes of cereal that people have grabbed and breathed onto all day. You're not cleaning the store." They just closed up because they didn't want to justify the payroll to have Walmart's open 24/7. They knew that COVID was the perfect moment where they could forever shift the paradigm against the 24-hour Walmart that they set up in the 90s. This was their excuse to walk away from it for all time, and no one would ever question it. But John remembers. John's questioning. But the 90s, up until recently, they were an objectively better time. I don't care what you say. We need a country song about a real small town. No more of this dirt road stuff. Riding your horse down an old town road, old country road. I want to hear about that pizza that became a tobacco store, but now it's a Mexican restaurant. Just as a reminder, whenever you see a Mexican restaurant or a tobacco store that used to be a Pizza Hut, you can always tell that it used to be a Pizza Hut. You can always tell because of the distinctive shape. You could say that the architects of those Pizza Huts that built it the way that they did, they built Pizza Hut in their image for what they wanted the Pizza Hut brand to be. And even if that thing changed itself to become something else, it still was a Pizza Hut. People still could tell. Take note, transgender movement. Oh, let's call it a week, guys. We did our best. Let's just call it quits here on Tuesday. We tried. Asked a Target employee if I could open this camera before I buy it. He said he didn't care if I killed someone in front of him. When I worked at Target, I cared a little bit more than that. If I had to work there now, my response would probably be like that. Big Bird was obviously just a man in a suit. It's obvious, kids. But the other ones were too small to contain men. So what the fuck were they? What's Elmo? What's in there? We need to drill to the core of Elmo to find out what's inside. Good morning. Hope everyone is enjoying the prison that they have made for themselves. I myself am trapped in a prison of my own memories and emotion for all time. So I am not enjoying it. Here's a question for you, lovers of fiction. Why do people insist on surviving the apocalypse when you can just die? When you're watching The Last of Us, when you're watching The Walking Dead, which, by the way, I watched The Walking Dead when it was new, and it seemed like there were very few human beings left. And now when I occasionally see The Walking Dead on TV, I know the show's ended, but I must be watching later seasons. But there are hundreds and millions of regular people still alive. I remember Rick waking up in the hospital after he'd been shot, which is like weirdly similar to the beginning of 28 Days Later. But anyway, all of Atlanta was completely consumed by zombies. There weren't any regular people left. There was like one random guy in a helicopter, but it was Rick riding around on a horse in Atlanta, and there was no normies left, even though that's where all the normies would be. And it's like, you know, you felt lucky whenever you found a human survivor. You're like, my God, there's at least one person left. You know, thank God for you, Merle. You know, but no, there was millions of people, regular people, still alive. Anyway, so but why? Well, why do you insist on surviving? And even one of my favorite books is called The Road. It's father and son. They're one of the last few survivors on the planet Earth. Why do they try so hard to stay alive? It's actually something they talk about in the book. So I guess if you want to talk about the philosophical argument about what it means to carry the fire, to love your son, to protect life above all else, I got to tell you, though, if the world ends, I don't love the world that much. I'm not going to fight zombies, especially if my death is going to be gruesome and horrible. You know, there's ways to go out. There's other ways to do it. And it doesn't have to be all like, well, I'm just going to hang myself or shoot myself or whatever. Maybe I want to go out in an act of bravery. Maybe I want to get my pickup truck and go mow down as many zombies as possible, right into a wall at 80 miles an hour. It's not going to work out for me, but it's not going to work out for them. I feel like that's a good trade-off. Anyway, why does everyone force introverts to leave their comfort zone? Just go to the party. Just talk to her. How come no one forces extroverts to shut the fuck up? This is something I would like to have enforced in my office. I'm very introverted and very quiet. I like to focus on my work. I like to spend time of repose. If I'm not on the phone, if I'm not on the radio, I just want to sit there. Sometimes I'm listening to music. Sometimes I'm listening to something else. Sometimes I'm just contemplating my life. Sometimes I'm just trying to avoid the painful stimuli that is the sound of other people being alive. But no, everyone's got to come in. Everyone's got to shoot the shit. For some reason, it seems like every single person I work with has no friends outside of work. This is the only place that they go to socialize. This is it. Coming to work today at the courthouse, I'm going to see my friends. And it's fine if you have work friends. I'm not against having work friends. I've been friendly to people at work before, but they have never been the sole outlet of where my friendships are. And I can sense very strongly that there are people at my job who have friends nowhere else. So when they come to work, they have to get every single drop out of it possible because they will not get socialization. They will not get friendship. They will not get support. They will not get camaraderie, socialization from any other person. That's got to stop. It's on you to find friendships, camaraderie, meaningful attachments with other people outside of work. I'm not here to be your friend at work. I'm not here to be your enemy. I'm not here to be a jerk to you. I'm here to be friendly, but I'm not necessarily here to be your friend. And you imposing that on me is an imposition. I feel like millennials grieve the 90s and 2000s on a deeper level. Everything was simpler and more authentic. Is this rose-colored glasses? I've been wondering. Do we see the 90s and 2000s through the lens of nostalgia, through a more hopeful time in our lives? I think things have objectively gotten worse since 2019. Yeah, I mean, everything's objectively worse. But were things, we have between 2000 and 2010, what was going on then between 2010 and 2019? But were the 90s and 2000s objectively better? We were unhappy even then. The thing is that a human being's unhappy in his circumstances no matter what they are. We're prone to grumble. We always complain. People in the 90s probably thought the 70s were better. It's all our attitude. But I think I can say objectively that the 90s and 2000s were objectively better. The economy was better. The prospects for your future were better. I don't know. The culture was better. The music was better. The movies were better. The food was better. The materials, the goods, the cowboys were better. It just seems like the 90s were objectively better. There's no gene that makes cilantro taste like soap. That is false. Cilantro is delicious. There is a gene for people who like to lie to get attention, though. I have met those people who say that cilantro tastes like soap. Guys, just as a reminder, someone born in 1999 is 46 years old. Let that sink in. You guys remember 1999? Remember partying like it was 1999? I remember December 31st, 1999. I remember where I was. We thought it was the millennial changing. Never mind that the millennium didn't start till 2001 because there was no year zero. But I remember the Y2K fears, and I remember all that. I remember September 9th, 1999. I remember 9/9/99. That was also kind of a big day. Less celebrated, less remembered, but I remember it. But the person who was born that year is now 46. It's troubling. I can't believe kids today have devices. I remember a birthday when I got a kite. Exactly. I mean, I didn't get a cell phone. Cell phones existed in the time when I was in high school. There was a girl that I liked who had a cell phone number. I could finally call her without talking to her dad. They existed as far back as then. I didn't have one until I was out of college, until 2007, 2008, whenever that was. But as a kid, I mean, even the Game Boy that we got was an event. It was a gift for all three of us. This was a Christmas gift we were going to share. That was the device at the time. And we had two games, Super Mario Land. Maybe we had Tetris and Pac-Man. Maybe we had all three of those. And that was it. And now you have a device that's infinitely capable of anything. I also remember on an occasion where we had a kite. We were given a kite. I don't know if it was for Easter or whatever, but we fucking went outside and flew a kite. If you have a child, take them outside and fly a kite. Tell them to go fly a kite and then go do it. Device is just going to warp their brains. I had a jar of Hornets and I walked into a store with them and I told the cashier to give me something for free or I would open the jar of Hornets. Could they have me arrested? This is a good question for Drew. Yes, you're robbing them. Technically speaking, robbery is the use of force or coercion to deprive someone of property. So yeah, I mean, technically this is robbery. It's not aggravated robbery. I don't think that a judge would consider unless you have foreknowledge that the person is allergic to insect stings. In that case, there's some intent to use a deadly weapon there, I guess. I guess you'd have to make the case that the bees are a weapon. I guess you could, and then, what are you taking for free at a gas station? You're taking a Butterfinger candy bar? I mean, you're talking about a felony, but the amount that you're taking is beneath petty theft. Not to mention the amount of time you have to spend wrangling the Hornets. That just doesn't seem worth it to me. Interesting experiment, though. What the fuck do these motherfuckers go through in orientation? From WSB TV, a Chick-fil-A worker jumps through the drive-through window, saves a choking boy. What do they get trained to do? The truth is the Chick-fil-A just looks for and hires good people of all different kinds. I've heard the remarks before that Chick-fil-A is this, Chick-fil-A is that. They hire good people. You can only survive. You can only get through the interview. There's a rule of thumb that they're taking through their questions and your posture and your responses and how you conduct yourself and how you dress. Are you a good person? You don't have to be the kind of person that would jump through a window to save a choking boy. I hope anyone would be, but I don't know. But they look for good people there, and you can feel safe at Chick-fil-A. My case in point, I saw a video the other day where all restaurant patrons fight all Taco Bell employees. Like everyone at Taco Bell came out from behind the counter and started fighting all the girls who were inside Taco Bell, and someone films the entire thing. I wish I had it handy. I think I maybe even saved it. Maybe it's somewhere. Maybe it's on my computer. But have you ever seen a video of like a confrontation escalating at Chick-fil-A of where like the manager throws coffee at somebody at Chick-fil-A? There's a physical altercation at Chick-fil-A that involves one of the staff? No. It's more than just God's chicken, everybody. Millennials, what are your boomer complaints? All of us have some. I think I have fewer than others. I'll go first. I'm not using a kiosk to order my food. Take my damn order. I've got some friends who won't use the self-checkout because they're like, well, I don't work here. I don't work at the grocery store. I want someone to ring up my groceries. I don't want to go through the checkout line because I don't want to be making like small talk with these people. Case in point, the other night I went to the gas station. I think I bought a pickle and a Mr. Pibb Zero or something. Guy says, so what's new in your life? And I'm just like, you don't fucking know me. You don't know me. Like I come to this gas station a lot, I guess, but you don't know me. I could tell you the oldest thing in my life, but why do you say what's new in your life? Just say like crazy weather we're having, or I'm so glad spring is here, or how's it going tonight? Don't say what's new in your life. I made the mistake of saying not much. What's new in yours? He goes, well, I just got my orders and I'm getting deployed. I'm like, well, thank you for your service. Where are you headed? I'm going to Germany. I'm like, well, that's a lot safer than Iran. I hope you have safe travels. I hope you're safe overseas. I have to fucking see this guy every day for the next 6 months until he gets deployed to Germany. And what I'm supposed to ask him, counting down the days to when you get on a C-130 to fly to Germany. I would much rather use a kiosk. Quick Trips have kiosks. I love them. You just ring yourself up. You don't have to talk to anybody. I love going to, I was in a Taco Bell this past winter or something. I ordered everything on the kiosk. I didn't want tomatoes on certain things, extra tomatoes on others. I got to do it all on the kiosk. It doesn't matter that the employee still didn't get it right. I didn't have to try to explain it to them. Please give me a kiosk. The kiosk is the best thing that happened to the fast food industry. Have everyone just working on food prep. That's fine. You don't have to fire people. You don't have to take people who are running a cash register and fire them. you can just put them on the line. That is okay. I would prefer that. But what are your boomer complaints? If you have any, put them in the comments below or put them in the chats. I would love to read. I like it when a greeting card already has a note pre-written in there for you. Then you write your own little note like, hi, that was the card before, but it's me now, your friend. Do you remember last week when we talked about how you should buy 2 cards and then you put, you only give them one of them, but you put the pre-written message from the first one into the second one? So you don't actually have to invest yourself or be emotionally vulnerable at all. Good way of doing that. Final meme of the day. Is it normal to get annoyed every 3 seconds or do I have a problem? This is a conversation for me and my doctor. 75 chats on there. Let's see what people are saying. Drew's saying Warlock. Drew, if you are still here, I completed that assignment and I sent it in an email to you. I hope that it pleases you. We will be ready to rock and roll on a brand new show on Thursday night. I think it's going to be awesome. So look for that. History isn't allowed, John. Isn't that why we tear down statues? Correct. We were tearing down plenty of statues here. I wonder what you were tearing down in Australia. Were you tearing down the statues of Robert E. Lee in Australia? On a side note, did you know that most languages outside of English does not have a word for maintain or maintenance? I did know that, especially over there in the African continent. Rhodesia is home of the Ridgebacks. Drew knows. Remember, right in the feels was endearing. Now it's you offended me and everyone must know you offended me. You're not allowed to say you got me right in the feels before? American is my second favorite cheese. What's the first favorite? I must know. 9/11 was organized, wasn't it? TSA wouldn't have prevented it. Yes, exactly. They knew what they were doing. There was security and they got through it, so it wasn't a failure in that sense. If you all stop hearing from me, you included John, it's probably because I broke the law and said something that hurt someone's feelings. But John, please tell a good tale of why I'm not around. Because Australia is repressing her and she refuses to rise up and fight back. I tell her, you need to be like Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. Have it be no other option, that you will not have your rights abridged, that you would rather die than live as an animal in a zoo. But she's just like, I've already put on my pajamas. I'm already in for the night. I'm not going to go out and have a revolution. John, not going to lie, COVID was why I stopped liking celebrities and musicians. Yeah, they definitely made asses of themselves. Even the ones you thought you would like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, fuck your freedom. He was the former governor of California, and he says, fuck your freedom, get the shot, and put on a mask. Okay, Governor. Testosterone above the level. Yep, I'm toxic masculinity. We talked about that. Brains Blood's here. Good to see you dropped in, Tyler, of course. Hi, bye, everyone. So he left at 2:02. He left 20 minutes ago. Fuck. All right. Well, bye, Drew. No inspectors, no architects, no engineers over in the continent of Africa. John would have hated working with me. I am talkative motherfucker. It varies. It's one thing for you to talk to me. There are people at work I like talking to. And then there are people that I don't like talking to. The people that are annoying, the people that ramble on without making a point, people that turn any point of a conversation, they will grab the word spoken as a reminder to lyrics of a song and then sing that song like a crazy person right in front of you. Or clipping your nails. I know that's not even talking, but that's something that makes me insane. You had one at 16 prepaid and it cost $35 a phone. Yeah, I didn't get one until I was in college. No one was calling me anyway. You're not going to do the scanning yourself? During COVID here, those who scanned our groceries stopped bagging them because of germs. Okay, but they were scanning them, I guess. I'm like you, I just touch them and scan them and I can't put them in a bag? Morons. Well, it's because it's like Walmart, though. When COVID came up, there was an excuse to scale back on services. We're not going to bag your groceries anymore. There's no bagging. You have to do it. Bring your own bags. they're saving money on employees. They're saving money on the time spent on their processes, and they're blaming the pandemic on the reason. There were lots of services and things that got scaled back with COVID as an excuse. I'm working on this. I'm trying to stop being annoyed. John, if you want to get pissed off, watch the NDP convention that recently happened. It's blood boiling. I don't know what NDP is, but it scares me. What were we doing in Australia? People vandalize and destroy Captain Cook statues in war memorials. That's too bad. Captain Cook, a good egg. These are specific examples. Maybe. It's possible. The Canadians do not like NDP, so very bad stuff. But they were quicker at bagging items than I was. I don't mind bagging my own stuff, to be honest, just because I know how I want my stuff grouped together. I put it in the conveyor belt with like items, things I wanted to be in a bag together. And by bagging them myself, which I may as well do because I'm a grown-ass man. You know, the thing is that tipping people for bagging your groceries used to be a thing in this country. I can remember as a child, you were expected to tip them. I think that disappeared from the face of the earth. I can remember my grandmother tipping baggers. I can remember that. I think that went away. What about OPP? All right, guys. Foxy's just got here for the end of the show. You let me down for the last time, Faulkner Writer. This is the end of the show. Guys, we will be back on Comm Center on Thursday night with an exciting true crime story with a 911 call that doesn't make sense, with 911 body cam that only Drew can break down. It's an Ohio crime. If there's anything that's as good as Florida crime, it is Michigan crime. However, this is not Michigan. This is Ohio. If there's anything that's almost as good as Michigan crime, it is Ohio crime. So in terms of crime, it's third tier, but it's a first-rate story. We're going to break it all down. It's going to be a classic Comm Center episode, but it's also going to be a great one. It's also going to teach you a lot about how 911 dispatchers can gather the evidence to convict someone of one of our worst crimes, murder. You guys remember on True Crime when I used to say that a lot? He was guilty of murder, which in my opinion is one of the worst crimes you can do. No one else misses it, but I missed that show. That was funny. All right, guys. We will see you in the future. You guys take care. Have a great Tuesday. Thanks for sticking around for the memes and more for the worst day of the week since Monday. Hope it was exciting and entertaining for you. Thanks to all the commies out there. Like I said, if you did watch the show, if you watched all the way to the end, bless you. You're a special person. Leave a comment in the comment section below so that I know what your thoughts were. If you think that I'm a horrible person or a racist or something, I would love to duel you in the comments to remind you that you are wrong. I am ready to hastily humiliate you. So if you want to just ruin your day with pointlessly arguing with someone on the internet, I'm here for it, man. All right, guys, we will see you back here in the future. Have a good one.